I'd also like you to think in retirement and in any stage of life about how your move to this next phase of life is going to affect the various life areas that you have. Now, you could have 15 life areas, but I think generally there's probably 7 or 8. I'm going to say 7 for purposes of our discussion. The first one is, you might not think it's a life area, but it really is. It's your vision and values, particularly your values. Now, your fulfilling activities in retirement will likely come from the top 3 values that you have. And if we had a longer workshop, we'd actually work through what are your values, and I'd get you to prioritize them. Because, and I get this in my workshop, how's your retirement going? It's a standard answer. Oh, it's never been this busy. I don't know how I ever found time to work. And then I say, are you doing what you want? And they say, no, I don't have time. Because that's the way life is. It seems to me, if I'm going to be retired and have freedom to do what I want, I'm going to prioritize and do those things that are true to my values. Those are fulfilling activities. The second kind of activities I'm going to do before anything else are things that give me life meaning and make me feel like I am still relevant. So the 5 areas, visions and values, you certainly have to think about health. You've got to think about work and how you might apply that. You want to think about your financial comfort, how you sleep at night. You want to think about your family, your home, and your lifestyle. So again, just think in those terms. It gives you a pretty good framework to plan, but that's not much different for you, is it? Those are your life areas too. So, I think that you can start early, you can start late, but that's the way I would look at making this plan. Now, we want to be happy in this next phase of life. I thought you might be interested in what the science actually says about happiness. First, we have to think about we're leaving work, and I know that some of you can hardly wait to get out of work. In fact, if I go there, you probably got something like this in your home office. Looks like a prison cell. You can tell me down to the minute how long you've got. Well, okay, but I want you to consider this. Do human beings handle change very well? No. No matter how excited you are, and I give you that, but generally when you move from working in that life and you're now moving into this next one, it's stressful, can be stressful. Anybody here see the retirement movie About Schmidt with Jack Nicholson? I've loved that movie. Nicholson played the part of an insurance actuary who retired at age 65. The opening scene has him sitting in his raincoat in his office. The boxes have all been packed up. They soon will be taken down to some storage room never to be seen again. He's looking at the clock and it's moving towards 5 p.m. And just before 5 p.m., he thinks maybe bells, whistles, skyrockets. But it kept going. So finally, he gets up, walks out of the room, and shuts the door. At 5 p.m., somewhere the computer system took him from being an active employee to being an ex-employee who's retired. That was it. Now, that was tough for him because he had no plans, didn't know what he was going to do. And generally, I find that it is difficult if you don't have anything to do. So as we think about leaving work, there will likely be something that you might miss. Now, whenever I do this in a longer exercise, there will always be people that said, "Are you kidding me? Miss about work? I will miss nothing." Now, that's actually not true, because as you think about it, some of you will miss feeling important. You might be running the show. You're the person that makes the decisions. Some of you are going to miss feeling needed, because whenever anybody's got an issue, they come to you. Somebody is going to miss socializing with your coworkers. In fact, that's the most common thing that we miss, because many of our social relationships are in the workplace. And did you know people who are working have 50% more social relationships than people who are not? Right? So, some of you might miss your steady paycheck. Ah, there we go.
That's a yes right there.
But I know people who I've arranged to take money out of their super every 2 weeks in the same way that they take it out when they get paid, just to keep the same structure. And some of you are going to miss being in the community because the only time that you're in the community is when you were working. So these are all things. Now, what we know is successful retirees find ways to replicate the feelings that they get in doing these. All right? So you want to think, all right, how can I do the same kinds of things and keep that going into retirement? And it doesn't have to be an exact match. You know, first of all, you want to understand that if you're retiring, you're going to have a hard time as you disassociate from work. For example, easier time if you find your job stressful, easier time if you've got someplace to go, an easier time if you can replace the things about work, an easier time if you want new challenges, and an easier time if you're dealing with health issues. But it's not all gravy. Some of you are going to have a harder time. You're going to have a harder time if you've got unfinished work, projects that you're involved in, designs that you've made you'd like to see implemented. Hard. Some of you who are self-employed are going to have a hard time. A study in Canada by the CIBC Bank looked at entrepreneurs and self-employed people who retired prior to age 65. They found that 70% of them returned to the workforce within 2 years. Why? It's not money. What was it?
Love it. Love it.
It's continuity theory, right? You love it. You are who you are. And you get convinced that you should work. You made all this money. You've done well. You got up at 5 o'clock in the morning for 40 years building a business. All right, now you get convinced that maybe we should take this money and let's go enjoy it. So you're sitting on the beach, which you do anyway, but you sit on the beach and you're there for a week and that's okay, and then you're there for 2 weeks, then you're there for 3 weeks, and pretty soon she's going to boot your butt back to work before she kills you. You are who you are. Remember continuity theory? So I hear from people that they get up every morning at 4 o'clock, and when they retire, they're going to sleep till 9. Yeah, you think? You know, you'll be lying there at 4:15. You'll say, could sleep till 9. Yeah, no, I really could. I think I'm going to get up. Because we create this structure within ourselves. One of the biggest stressors in retirement is something called structure stress. And that is the lack of structure that work brings us, or that retirement brings us. And we might say, I don't want any more structure, but you've had structure from kindergarten, through school, through uni, through your work career. It's very difficult to walk away. And you're going to have a hard time if you've got nothing to look forward to.